Hello, Kansas and Western fans. It's time for update number 26 of the Kansas and Western HO scale model railroad. We're just going to do a full tour of the layout because there's been several changes spread throughout. So we'll just start at the beginning and work our way around to make sure we don't miss anything. First of all, here at the Royal Gorge route, nothing new here. It's more or less ready for scenery work to start. You can see I've been using this whole river area as a paint booth, but it allows me to work on several structures at one time when I can spread out and have several different paint projects going at once. Then we work around here to Canon City. Nothing new on that gravel company. The station was finished last time. I did break out the foundation for this first section of the Canon City downtown so I could get an idea of scale. I will definitely have to cut it back, but I think one of the viewers posted last time, I don't have to just make it fronts. I can maybe just cut back, a portion of it and still have a little bit of depth to it. So I think I'm going to do that. What I need to do is take some measurements, figure out how wide a 2-lane street will be. The sidewalk is already built into the kit, so I don't have to worry about allowing for that. But then I need to add additional groundwork or something here in the foreground, whether it's going to be a bit of greenery or a sidewalk between the tracks and the street. So I have to figure all that out. And then I'll decide how many more of these kits I want to add for a line along this backdrop here, because the area between what I'm going to call Canon City downtown and Portland cement needs to be isolated somehow. So I'm thinking I'm going to do like a grove of trees with maybe a small creek somewhere in this area to kind of separate these scenes, because in reality, the Portland cement plant is nowhere near Canon City, at least not in this proximity. So I'm going to try to divide that out somehow. And then we have Portland cement. I did acquire a few new locomotives, mostly to have them stationed at places where they're needed. This Rio Grande here is going to be stationed for Portland cement for switching the industry, and that's sitting on a team track that'll be dedicated for just the plant. So excited to have that addition. And then we'll move around to the other side of the layout. And I'm going to back up. This workbench was not in the plan at all. And someone pointed out in one of my earlier videos, obviously, that maybe I could change this space, which was just basically a table to support the yard here, to add a workbench. And that was just such a great idea. That has worked out so well. I know it looks like a mess, but this area has been perfect in order to build models, have a test track, all that stuff. So if there's any way you can incorporate even just a small workbench in your layout, it just helps tremendously. We'll move around here to Pueblo. Nothing new here. Still liking the idea of the scrapyard though. I picked up this Southern Pacific switcher. This will be one of maybe 2 or 3 dedicated for the scrapyard, because there's going to be a lot of work moving these cars into the different spurs to be loaded, unloaded, new arrivals, departures, and then moved over to the furnace for the scrap to be melted down. So there'll be a lot of switching going on there, a lot of back and forth. And around to La Junta, I picked up this lease unit here. Haven't decided on a permanent home for that. It might be moved around the layout quite a bit. Not quite sure yet. And moving down to the end of La Junta Yard. Picked up this RJ Corman, which if you know much at all, this is kind of a pretty well-known company that does lots of things, but they're often seen in train derailment videos after a train wreck. These guys show up with all their equipment on lowboy trailers to set locomotives and cars back on tracks. So I thought it'd be neat to add something like that for my maintenance of ways section. I think they also lease units out around the country, different areas. So still learning about that company, but kind of a neat story, what I read on their website, how they got started. And moving around to Lamar. I finished this train station. It was much quicker than the other one. Obviously, it's smaller. And you might ask why I went with the dark trim. The kit on the box has white trim, and it's more of a classic look. But if you look at the photo of the actual Lamar station, it has dark trim. And so that's what I was trying to reproduce, is what it looks like in reality. And it's the same for the Canon City station. They have dark trim. So I'm not sure if the white just shows up dirt more or whatever, but that's why I went with that color choice. But that station's done, so that wasn't too bad. And down here in Lamar, I did take a look at quite a bit here. I used to have a couple pieces of PVC standing there for what's going to be the Oil Refinery. I did remember that this Charleston kit up here, I had to cut down one of the sets of silos, because this is a 10 silo elevator here, or 10 pairs anyway. So I had a couple left over, and with my new table saw that I have that I used, I'm going to be able to cut this down so it looks more like that instead of a couple pieces of PVC. I just haven't cut it to size yet, so that's why that's sitting out, and I decided to change it up a little bit on that. And moving down through the rest of Lamar, I didn't get anything done on this elevator here, but I did get a couple of these grain bins built, and I would say, bar none, these are the easiest kits I've ever assembled. I think it took me 30 minutes from beginning to end to slap all that together, and they look pretty nice, and it's really simple. So whoever designed that did a hell of a job. But I'm going to probably put a couple more in there just to kind of fill in this corner to kind of hide this transition here. I still have to finish, obviously, touching up paint there. But when we move around to Holly, there's nothing new done, but I've finally ordered my first backdrop. One of my more common posters has been excited about backdrops for a while, and it's something I've been putting off for quite a while because it's been hard to make a decision about what to do. Ultimately, yes, it would be awesome to have photos of the actual location, or at least the background, which here's the location I'm modeling of Holly. But there isn't much to that background. You can see it's just flat terrain and blue sky. So I went with trainjunkies.com because they had a commercially available backdrop that I really didn't have to do anything to. So that's on order. I'm not sure when I'm going to receive it. I think it should be maybe next week. But regardless of what the poll is for this weekend, that's going to get put up as soon as it shows up, at least temporarily. I didn't really want paper. I wanted vinyl, but they only offered the matte color, or the, non-reflectivity in the paper. So I'm a little bit nervous about that, but on their website, they had lots of customer photos and comments, and it looked pretty sharp to me. So I got enough of one to cover from this end, wrap around the corner, all the way down to the end of the backdrop there. So really excited to have that come in, see how it looks. Hopefully it looks good, but we'll see as soon as it comes in. We'll move up to the Holcomb Power Plant. Nothing new there. And then over to Garden City. Still have lots of kit work to do there. And then around to Charleston elevator. And we'll wrap around the corner to the Wichita Industrial Park. Picked up a couple of custom weathered rail cars that look nice. There's a set of, it wasn't a set, but there was 3 different gondolas I wanted to add, some that had loads, just so I can get ideas for how to do some myself. I think this is pieces of cut up foam into squares and then painted silver to just look like compressed pile or bales of scrap metal. So that looks pretty neat, and the cars are very well done. So picked these up from I can't remember the name of the place now. Spring Creek Trains. They had a display case full of these, and so whoever built those, well done, great job. There's those pieces of PVC I had down there in Lamar, so still not sure what I'm going to do about a background elevator there. I think it's either going to be Cargill or just another background elevator. Wrap around here to Wichita. This is the Santa Fe side, or the BNSF side of the yard. And then here's that other gondola I picked up. It's got some neat rusty looking pieces of scrap in there. Very well weathered, looks really sharp. It's old Missouri Pacific gondola. So very happy to add that to the collection. And then wrap around to the UP side of the yard. Picked up this Union Pacific switcher. That'll switch the UP yard. And down to the end and over through Towanda. Nothing new here. I'll transition over to El Dorado. This will be all oil field in this area where these pump jacks are. And then El Dorado, I guess this is kind of the industrial park too. A small El Dorado yard. And then we'll move into the El Dorado Refinery. And we'll move up close so we can see what I got done on that refinery kit. Far and away, the most difficult kit I've ever built. I wish there were more written instructions. This does take some finagling. And for those of you that I started that video to see a progression, I am still doing that. I'm taking lots and lots of pictures. It's going to end up being a pretty long slideshow of each step. I've made it about a third of the way through the instructions. I think I'm on page 11 now of 32. So it is moving along. It doesn't look too bad. The hardest part was putting this superstructure here with all these girders on top of the bottom area with all those handrails in place. And I did look ahead and I did a pretty decent job of making sure the handrails were placed so that it didn't interfere, but it still, I had to trim some parts. I had to, that took me an hour just to put that on there. So the tanks here, they're not even glued together. So I think that one is, but they're just kind of sitting there. I wanted to see what the whole footprint was going to be to decide if I wanted to use this whole sheet of styrene for the concrete. And I think I'm going to leave it as is. There's going to be more structures to fill the rest of this area. So that's just kind of sitting there for now, but it's not too bad. I'm not discouraging anyone from trying it. Just make sure you have plenty of time and patience and the ability to see tiny parts and use small tools. But anyway, it's moving along. And I'll move around to Union Tank Car. And I did get one of these other structures finished. That table saw came in really handy to cut out at least the vertical sides of these garage doors, which made the rest of it much easier to do by hand. So that was a good investment. And I'll move back over to show you what I'm talking about if you haven't seen this Micromark table saw. And that's the end there. So one more structure need to be built. A lot of the pieces are ready to go. I just have to assemble it. And that'll go for this, where this tank car is located. It'll be placed right there. But let me move down and show you this table saw, which is super handy. And that's it right there. It's got a nice little safety fence, a little square there, a fence. And it's just pretty simple. There's not much to it. It wasn't super expensive. It's very lightweight, so you have to screw it down. I have it screwed to this piece of plywood it's sitting on, so it's nice and stable, but I definitely see putting that to use quite a bit in the future. So highly recommend that if you're going to do a lot of kit bashing or scratch building. It even cuts wood and PVC, and I think you can get it blade to cut metal, but I'm not sure if I would do that because it's a pretty skinny blade. But if they recommend it, then I guess you can do it. Okay, that's it for now. Ready for the poll now to see what you all would like to see me work on for the next couple weeks. I am going to give you a warning though. I'm going to be taking vacation for a couple weeks at the beginning of July. So after this poll, there will not be another poll for a couple weeks, or at least the next typical time frame that I do these. So just giving you some warning now, so there's not too much disappointment. I'll let you know when that is. But for now, let's go ahead and vote on what you'd like to see me work on for the next couple weeks. Leave your vote in the comments. I'm taking votes to Sunday, midnight, Central Time US. So get those in to me as soon as you can. We'll compile it. We'll shoot a video on Monday, probably afternoon, and post that to share the results of the video and then explain my plan of what I will be doing to carry that out. So thanks everybody for your comments and questions. I look forward to seeing what the results of the vote are. Have a good weekend.